earliest colonial botanist to visit Australia called it the most magnificent flower. Today we know it as an Australian wildflower icon. It is, in fact, one of our most loved native plants. Yes, the one and only Warratah. And here at the Robertson Heritage Railway Station, you will see this masterpiece of floral beauty in all its glory. The gardens here at the Robertson Heritage Railway Station attract a lot of flower lovers and train spotters alike. And if you keep an eye out, there are exhibitions of local artistic talent at the Fettler's Shed Gallery. So what's so spectacular about the New South Wales Warratah? Well, it was seen from afar. That's what its Latin name means. But up close, the leaves are tough and leathery. You can see on the edge there a little sawtooth margin to the leaf. This one is fire and brimstone. It's also the same species discovered in the bush, but the flower is really quite spectacular on the species itself. Surrounded by these red bracts and a great crown of red flowers, very dramatic. But the species itself doesn't have all that many flowers. You can sort of count them on an old plant in the bush. Now, all of that has changed with the hybridization. The leaves have changed, the flowers have changed, and the plants have many more flowers. And I was here 7 years ago to the day filming these beautiful Warratahs, but you've been here for 15 years, right from the beginning as a volunteer.
It's 20 years, actually.
20?
Yes,
isn't that terrific? So how has the garden changed in that time?
It's got bigger and better, but most of the planting was done nearly 20 years ago.
Right.
And it's grown since then. The rainforest has also been augmented.
Yes.
It's a microcosm of the Yarrawa brush, which is a native rainforest around here.
And in that time, of course, the Warratah hybrids have just gone crazy. Have you got many of those here?
We've got plenty of hybrids here.
Yeah.
In fact, the main planting was hybrids originally, the corroboree, because they're a bush plant, which looks good in a garden, and it's not particularly grown for cut flowers, so it is, and the flowers are smaller.
And of course, people have got to leave them in the bush, not cut them, because those seeds that are forming are all part of the genetic evolution of the Warratah, aren't they?
They are, and that's how we got the white Warratah.
Yes. You actually run a plant stall here that is the basis of really your survival of looking after the gardens for the volunteers.
That's right. All the work in the gardens is done by volunteers, and we raise money by selling flowers and plants.
Right.
So when the flowers are out, we sell as many as we can sell because we've got to prune them anyway.
But you also have potted plants as well?
We do, yes. We grow them from our own seeds.
Right.
When the plants are in flower, come along and buy a flower.
Have you got any particular favourites that you really think, well, that's the one that I really like?
I really like the Speciosissima.
Yes, the basic species.
Speciosissima, most beautiful, biggest flower, best shape.
Yeah.
I'll have one of those any day.
It's interesting that the first non-red Warratah that we saw was actually white, a completely different colour break altogether. That was back in 1967. This is Wirrambirra white. Isn't it beautiful? Lovely serrated leaves like the traditional red Warratah, the basic species, the bracts on the outside, and this great crown of white flowers, a little bit limey green on the top. Now, there's another white one, very likely much easier to buy than Wirrambirra white, and it's called Shady Lady white. And there's a plant here, look at it, isn't it brilliant? It's just covered with hundreds of flowers. The more you prune it, the more flowers you get. It's a really strong, beautiful plant. Well, it took 180 years plus before the white one ended up in cultivation. And the yellow. The most commonly sold yellow one is Shady Lady Yellow. This is not it, but it's quite similar. So there are quite a few hybrids getting around. Some you'll get at your local garden centre, and others you'll find at places like here at Robertson. Pruning is really critical, and I'll get to the flower pruning in a moment. But firstly, make sure you get rid of dead wood. But most Warratahs die from wet feet. In heavy soil, they just don't survive. Now, if your soils are heavy, you need to mound up. Don't dig a hole, mound it up and plant into really well-drained sandy loam with a bit of added compost into it. Now, feeding, when you're fertilising them, keep the fertiliser out a little bit and use a native bush fertiliser that's going to keep the plant happy. Keep the lawnmower well back from the plant. And when you go to prune the flowers, like a rose, cut them with a nice long stem. OK, we've got a beautiful flower up there. Let's get in there and cut it. That's the sort of stem you need to create a beautiful bush and a lovely vase full of Warratah flowers. And if you follow those couple of tips, you'll have these growing and flowering in your garden within a few years. It's been absolutely fantastic.
That's fine.
Can't believe these beautiful flowers. But more importantly, thank you as part of the volunteers for looking after these for well over 20 years. It's just brilliant. And of course, you're carrying on from previous volunteers in an earlier decade.
Yes, we are.
Plus, a little present from us, Enchanted Flame. It's a brand new variety, brand new release. How will that look in your garden?
It'll look terrific.
Well, that absolutely. Come back and see this one and all the others. Make a date to come and see all the Warratahs. They're just beautiful.